Okay, sorry I'm running a little late today. Just got home. We had this great opportunity today to meet with a local legend who I'm quite happy to have met with, and our friend. God damn, my hair's all fucked up. I hate that shit. All right, guess what? It is what it is. Jesus Christ, it's terrible. All right, fuck this. Sorry, guys. I'm incredibly vain. I don't give a shit. Today's a Venus day, too. I'm gonna fucking look like this on Venus day. Shit. Hate this shit, man. All right, whatever. It is what it is. That's what I get for not fixing my hair in the morning. All right, you're gonna see my silver streak today. Whatever. Shit. I'll edit that out in post or something. God damn it. I'm gonna go crazy with this. I swear to God. Yeah. All right, fucking whatever. First 5 minutes is Rufus preening like a fucking whatever. And another thing, YouTube doesn't want me to say F words all the time as much as I like to, so I should stop cussing about my hair. All right, so Venus Day. Oh, what else is going on? Is there anything I need to talk about first? So I literally just like walked through the door a few minutes ago and was not entirely prepared for today, but that's okay. We'll be fine. Do I have any Venus images? I think I have in here somewhere, I'm sure. That's not Venus. That's not Venus. That's not Venus. Nope. So most of this artwork that you're seeing here is all done by the amazing Adeline Soothtel, who I get most of my custom artwork done by. Oh, that's coming up. You can't look at that one yet. Don't look at that one. That's coming up. I'm trying to get to the Venus ones. Okay, so I think this is... No, that's not the Venus one. I think that's a Jupiter one. There's Venus. Here we go. No, Gahiel. Okay, so that'll be fine. We'll start with those four. Okay. Welcome to the show. Almost quite proper now. All right. So to begin, we'll start with this. Oops, those are my notes. Hang on, let me turn that off because I don't know what's behind it. Here we go. Dashboard and go to my actual site. All right. Now I can share what I'm showing here. Okay, so this is my website. If you go to rufusopus.com, the classes that we're going to be talking about here in today's show is that they're all available there on my website. The way to get to them, all my courses on Planetary Magic, on Conjuration, and on the Holy Guardian Angel / Tutelary Spirit. They are all for free. You can get them under courses here. Basic curriculum, no fee, and I consider this basic stuff that magicians should know about, because magicians should know about it. Hang on a sec. All right, sorry. Might have been talking to Alexa, but anyway. Yeah, so all of my courses are for free on my site. You go to courses, basic curriculum, no fee, and then these are all the basic magic stuff that I think everybody needs to know if you're going to be a Hermetic magician. All magic is not Hermetic magic, and the way I do it is not the way all Hermetic magicians do it. My approach is based on 16th century writings on the great work. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa is my main source from the 16th century, the 3 books of occult philosophy. The core belief system I have goes back to about 500 BC to the Orphic, a specific branch of Orphic mystery tradition stuff that teaches that Zeus is the demiurge, basically. He swallowed the cosmic egg of all creationness and became the universe and recreated the universe in his image. And yeah, so that plus the alchemical process of the great work is sort of what all comes together in what I teach. So be forewarned. Forewarned is forearmed. You know, it's going to have a lot of Rufus on it. But if you understand the basics of Hermetics that come out of the Corpus Hermeticum, specifically the Divine Pymander, the basics of Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, and I also am way overly trained in modern ceremonial lodge magic, more trained in it than I would like to be, but that spills over into a lot of my stuff sometimes. My system is based on magic that predated 1899. I think that I had a series of bad experiences with Golden Dawn and Golden Dawn derived groups. Specifically, the Golden Dawn specifically was the worst. And then I had really good experiences with people from the Golden Dawn since then, so don't think I hate the Golden Dawn, but Lodge Magic and I had a parting of the ways for many years, and then I ended up joining the OTO. I became the Imperator of the AA while I was with Elamite, and then I had it out with the OTO's body and left that group. So what I'm trying to say is there is modern Kabbalism and modern takes on Hermeticism that come into my teachings. It can't really be avoided. If you grew up in the 90s like I did and learned your magic the way I did, you're going to have that lens over your expression of things. And there's nothing I can't unlearn what I learned. But I've done a pretty good job reconstructing the source materials, in my opinion, that mattered, that I wish I could have just gotten firsthand directly without having to go through all the horse crap that was added to occultism, mostly by the English. The British, not all the British, but the English in particular, have consistently screwed up the occult, in my opinion. But that's the stuff I end up taking out, is all the stuff that the English put in and their interpretation of it, except for Agrippa. But Agrippa wasn't really English as much as he was just sort of European. So, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm sorry to have been all over the map there, but that's just sort of what the background is so that you can understand what you're getting into when you get into these classes. It is the great work. It is the great work of the Hermetic-derived traditions that were popular in the 16th century. It is just not modern magic as you might know it. All right. So also, everything I teach, everything I've learned comes from esotericarchives.com. You can't get to it. I can't post it on Facebook because they think it's a spyware malware site, and it's crap. I think Christians had it reported as that because he's missing his security certificate, or he was at one point. So it flagged something, and they won't fix it. I've submitted numerous complaints, and they won't update it. But if you go to esotericarchives.com. This is where everything that I teach, you can find the source materials here. Heinrich Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy, all right here. 100% Taylor's, is it Taylor's translation? I don't know. Anyway, it's Barrett, not Barrett. Anyway, this is what Barrett plagiarized to write the Magus, and the Magus plus is basically 3/4 of Agrippa plus Francis Barrett's ideas, and that's why the Golden Dawn, that's what the Golden Dawn had to work with. They didn't have Agrippa's 3 books when they were, I guess, I don't know, but they were working off of the Magus. So anyway, this is much better, pure stuff, as pure as it gets in the 16th century anyway. 3 books of occult philosophy, free stuff, all free. The Key of Solomon, like I work with the spirits of the Key of Solomon. Here's the Lesser Key of Solomon, all 5 books of Lemegeton, right? Including Goetia, everybody's favorite Goetia. You could just read it yourself in an afternoon. It's not hard. You could just go out on the web and read it and learn all about Goetia. And this manuscript, that's it. That's it for Goetia. Everything else that we say is Goetia has been reconstructed and projected onto it. But this is what most modern people think of, or used to be what they think of when they think of Goetia, until Jake Stratton Kent came along and made everything much better. And honestly, what he did is he revealed the much more rich living tradition of Goetia and established a framework for it. But the original manuscript that people tend to think of as demon conjure magic is all here for free. All for free at esotericarchives.com. I am not an advertisement for this, but Joe Peterson is an academic. He's a PhD. He just studies for a living, and he writes his notes on this stuff. brilliant stuff. He's not a practicing magician per se, but he's amazing. He's a great resource for all this stuff. And if you look over on the right here, these gray shaded areas are his personal notes and his references that are cited throughout every page on all these grimoires, on all these traditions, right? So when you see people like myself or the talisman makers of Facebook, right, making these talismans and stuff, we learned it here. We get them from here, like almost all of us. Like if it has to do with Key of Solomon stuff, this is pretty much where we usually get it from. Is all on Joseph Peterson's site. All right, a lot of us are self-taught because there wasn't anybody. There wasn't anybody to take classes from until we came along, you know. And so this is the richest resource for occult traditions that is available to any magician today. And I haven't been able to post about it on Facebook for reasons, and I feel like I should give him a little bit of credit. Not a little bit, a lot of credit. I think everybody should be, honestly, I think all y'all should be coming here and doing what I had to do and just read it and try to understand it. I think that trying to experiment with it is the best way to learn. I think that FAFO is the best school for magicians, and I will get a lot of flack for that, and I don't care, right? I'm kind of sick of pretending like I give a shit about it. The fact is if you try the magic, if you do the magic and you burn yourself, oh my God, you might blow your life up. But guess what? It's good for you. Builds character. Oh, that's terrible. That's irresponsible. You're right. I'm bipolar and I have no guilt. Sorry, I'm not really like that. I do think that it's important to take care of yourself and do this stuff responsibly. Like I have a therapist. I see a therapist regularly. I wouldn't want to do the magic without it, for sure. Please understand that that's the framework behind the jokes that I make about not giving a shit. I do care very deeply about people's sanity and well-being. But also most of the reasons that people are unhinged is because their life is full of shit that is cured by the great work. The great work eliminates the sources of most of your anxiety, your pain, your frustration, all that crap. The reason I teach this stuff is because it saved my life. It turned me around from this inwardly focused Christian byproduct of a charismatic family led by a person that was, and I'm in therapy for that. But the fact is that it transformed me into a way to a person who can create their world and experience it in joyful ways, you know, in spite of how I was raised. And so I think that's important. And also it turns us into these creative entities. The great work teaches that we're supposed to be creating our universe. All right, that's what the divine Pymander, the Corpus Hermeticum. Hermetics is based on the Corpus Hermeticum. The Hermeticum says that we are made in the divine image of the divine creator, and we are given powers to create things. The 7 planetary spheres that it talks about. If you look at Heinrich Agrippa, the table of contents here, right? Just look at the table of contents. This is the core stuff of magic. It's all about how it all came together, and then it's all about the planets. It talks almost immediately. It talks about here what things are lunary and the Saturn and Jupiter and Mars. Why does it jump into all that stuff? It gives you the basic foundation up here in these other chapters. And by the way, one chapter of Agrippa is worth more than 3 books from Llewellyn in the 90s for sure. But also a lot of the modern stuff that gets published is just commentaries on the information in a paragraph. Like this is so information dense. That is so information dense. It is just incredible compared to what we have to learn from today. It's not, anyway, it's very important to read this stuff. But the first thing they teach is planetary magic, because in the Corpus Hermeticum, we're taught that we are given the 7 powers of the spheres, of the planetary spheres, as we become human. As we become incarnated humans, we are given these powers to change the world that created the world. They're bestowed upon us out of love, out of admiration for the image in whose image we were created, right? Those powers are granted to us. And the whole point of Hermeticism is that we forgot And we got to be reminded, and we got to reclaim that power. We got to reclaim that. And what does that make us into when we do? The great work can be seen as a process by which we reclaim our conscious access to those 7 planetary powers that created the universe. That's what the great work is sort of, in a way, about, because it creates, philosophically, a philosopher's stone. It creates a stone of the wise, a stone of wisdom, that when you grind it up and mix it with water and drink it, or project it into the world, brings healing to all mankind, to every disease. Because it brings harmony, because it restores us to our place of being these divine created in the image of this divine creator in the world with all these powers to create things. And the way to access it is to turn our eyes away from all the things and inward to our source, inward to ourself. You know, up there, there's an eyeball and a triangle. That's the symbol, because that's what we are. We're the eyeball looking out through our eyes, through our hands. We're touching this world. That's eyeball that's behind me, and it's looking through me right now. And that's what we are. We all got one. We all are that. It's the same eye. That's what Hermetics teaches. All right, that's what the Dervani manuscript, this Orphic tradition that I embraced, is teaching, is that eye is Zeus, right? The essential deityness of all things. We've wrapped words around it for thousands of years. Our entire culture is founded on the principles that derived from contemplation of this idea that we're all one thing, manifested in multitudes to experience and create this world. That was what our core teachings of our civilization are founded on. These principles that are revealed through Hermetics. That's why this is important. That's why it brings harmony to our fucked up world. We have a bunch of people who think they're gods, but don't have any of the powers of gods, who think that they know the difference between right and wrong, but they're just selfish, but they are convinced they're righteous. They're convinced that they're forgiven. If the Christians think they're forgiven for all the shit that's wrong with them, and they don't have to worry about it, and God will deal with it, because it's not their problem. That's what Christianity teaches. It's not my problem. You know how awful I am? That's why Jesus died. What a cop-out. Spiritual cop-out. Guess what? It's hard to be nice. You know? I was thinking the other day about how much nicer I am than I used to be. And I am. I'm better at it because I control myself. Because I have to. Because I destroy things when I vent my evil. Right? When I vent the expression of my inner disharmony that comes from my mental illness or my mood or my income stream or whatever it is I might be concerned about, you know, or if it's even concern or anxiety, right? All that stuff influences that. God damn it. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. I apologize. Anyway, the reason all this stuff is free, the reason I'm teaching all this stuff, the reason that we embrace this stuff is because it's for harmony. It's to create harmony in this world. It's to heal the world, you know, and it brought me a sense of purpose, of, I have something that nobody can ever take from me. You know, I have a success in my life that is, it's reflected in my finances. It's reflected in my relationship with my wife. It's reflected in my social standing, in my community of people that actually care about me and respect me. Like, I don't know if you have a community of people that care about you and respect you, but I got like 2 or 3 people. It's amazing. All right. And when you have that support, it's different, right? And I'm not talking about your public community, right? I mean, I'm part of a culture. I'm part of it. I'm a big part of it, it turns out. I didn't realize how big of a part of a culture I am until recently. It's disconcerting, but I don't care. Point is that the inner work gives you something to focus on, right? This inner harmonizing of things. When you pursue your divine source, the divine Pymander says the Pymander comes to those who pursue him. God comes to who looks for them. That's what it is. That's how it works. And when you look for it, you're restored to your access to your powers. What Hermetics teaches is a way to interpret your powers to create this world. All right, it's not the only way. 7 planets. Other systems are going to have different symbols, different patterns. Ours that comes from, if you're part of a culture that traces itself back to Greece history, philosophy, if Plato matters in some way, either to define or to be the opponent of your definition of your philosophy, you're still working from a Platonic basis. You're either anti-Platonic, I'm embracing all of nature and I'm a panentheist now. I am a panentheist, pretty much. I'm still working within the mental framework of someone who comes from a Platonic background or a Neoplatonic background, or an anti-Platonic background, because I'm in this culture, right? If you eat McDonald's, or you've ever eaten McDonald's, you've participated in a culture that goes back to Greece. It sucks, but it's true, okay? I wish that the world was not so homogenized. I know it's not as homogenized as the great melting pot would have you think, right? But it's a lot more homogenized than it should be, all right? But anyway, point is the great work is a method of attaining that harmony that restores that connection to a greater sense of being, that inner I, right? And that Pymander is always going to come to people who search for him, right? And it's not always going to be Hermetics, but Hermetics is just a super convenient way to do it. We have an established set of sevens. If you look at our colloquialisms, we sail the 7 seas, right? I'm in the 7th heaven. All these things go back to these planetary forces, right? And what is the 7th heaven, by the way? It's the sphere of Venus. Oh, anyway, depends on how you count, right? But it is the sphere of Venus from a Kabbalistic perspective. But the heavens, right? It's part of everything. The seven spheres, and it's really it's important, I think. And it talks about it in the Albermelin. It talks about how a magician shouldn't leave the religion of their birth. So like if you're a Christian, you should do the Albermelin rite as a Christian. If you're a Jew, you should do it as a Jew. If you're an Arab, you should do it as an Arab, right? And you should find your way to do it. That's what the Albermelin rite teaches. I think what they're talking about is that the symbol sets of your occult practice are going to resonate with you in ways that tap into your power if it's something that is cellular. I think that is a way to do that. I think also another way to tap into it is to embrace something completely opposite to your nature, right? Either something that's in harmony with it that you develop a very close harmony to, or something that's completely opposite to the point where you can harmonize around something so new and fresh that it becomes the core harmony of you. But the core thing of the great work is you're harmonizing yourself to this all thing so that you're in harmony. You're able to access these powers of creation because you're in tuned with them, right? You know how you vibrate, you know how they vibrate, you know how you vibrate together, and you know how you have to vibrate to express that force. And you learn that through initiation, through practice, through application, through interviews with the spirits that represent the powers of the sphere, right? Through studying this stuff in Agrippa about what things are under the power of Venus, right? What that are called venereal? What things are under the power of Venus that are called venereal, right? So anyway, these are all the ways that we tap into it and we harmonize with it. We fill our mind with knowledge. The classes that I'm offering on my site are entirely based on filling you up with all of the source information that I had to cram into my alembic and apply heat and pressure to in order for it to form what I consider the Philosopher's Stone. The thing that lets me bring harmony to all of my situations, that lets me find success in the midst of the darkness, right? Because I have found inside of me a success that is mirrored in everything I do outside. My success is not, it's not all that, right? It's my success is a very small thing and it's a core sliver of light that is my core being now. It's an experience that I walked away from, still myself, that changed everything. It was like a mushroom trip. It was like taking LSD and how you never go back to being normal. It was like that, but it wasn't that. It was different. And I'm not perfect at anything, but I am perfectly imperfect at everything. Like I express my natal chart really well, better than I ever have, and it's not perfect. It's got some corruptions, but those corruptions are expressed in my daily life, right? I know my evil daemon. I know exactly what it is. But anyway, this is all stuff. It sounds like I'm bragging when I talk about this shit. I try not to do it, but I say this because it's an experience I've had that I've passed on to others. I'm not the only one that's had that experience. A really good friend of mine, we've been friends for a while, and I think he started out as a fan. I think I have a lot of friends that started out as fans, but they got to know me, and that rubs off right away. And then after that goes away, we become friends, and I've watched him grow quite a bit, and it's cool because I went through the same things he's gone through. Right? And I'm like watching it happen with him, and I'm not watching like, oh yes, and what comes next is oh, this is gonna suck. I mean, I do laugh about that part sometimes because we self-sabotage, whoops. We self-sabotage a lot as human beings. Let me go ahead and open up this thing because I'm gonna keep talking anyway. But we self-sabotage, and it's kind of funny. It's not funny. It's absurd is what it is. Anyway, so you go to courses, basic curriculum, and then, principles of planetary magic. So if you click different links, you'll end up in different places. But basically, you're looking for principles of planetary magic. And then, I think what I clicked was the actual course's title, and that takes you to this page. But then when you get to principles of planetary magic, is it going to open? It is. Then you go to Venus for today's stuff. And we only have Mercury and the Moon left. It's been a pretty fast few weeks. All right, so the video is here. The video is 2.5 hours. Yeah, I can't imagine why I talk so long about everything. Yeah, you take the lesson. Here's the workbook. Should open in a new tab, and the presentation if you want to follow along with the presentation. And here it is. There's the principles of planetary magic, Venus, right? And this is, I'm not going to go over everything in this today. Today I'm only going to focus on Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and the archangel Anael, I think, and the four spirits of the talisman of Venus, and some practical applications and stuff like that. But that's later in the show because I'm still kind of pontificating about why this stuff is important. Yeah, this stuff is important because it changes your life. It changes the way you approach your life. It changes your perspective on things, right? And sorry, I was talking about my friend. And basically, I've watched him go through all these transformations in his life that I've been through, and I've gotten to remember my own, okay? And it's not like, all right, so it would be super easy to be arrogant about things, but fortunately, I have a very honest self view and a really great therapist. So the two things combined are working in my favor quite a bit to keep me from being too ridiculously full of myself. Even though it sounds like I am. I'm just trying to be honest about things. I don't think I'm all that. I think that I am probably the worst bearer of the philosopher's stone I know. And it's not like, so the thing is I know and I understand all this stuff, but you got to choose to do it all the time. And it's just like coping mechanisms for the mentally ill. Sometimes we feel like doing it more than others. As magicians, sometimes we feel like doing magic more than other times. And that's the bare facts. A lot of the things I experience in my life that are negative are things that I could have positively created something else instead of. But I didn't, because I didn't think of it, or I was busy doing something else, or I just, didn't think through. That's my big problem, is I don't think through everything I think about. But I get by. It's all right. I don't have to be in control of everything. I don't have to know. I don't have to always have a good time to have a good time. I appreciate challenges, and I can deal with the chaos. And getting rid of the chaos requires sacrifice that I'm not willing to make. So. Point is, if you attain the Philosopher's Stone, and your life will transform, And it'll remind people who have, such as myself, who've contributed to it or who are observing it, of their own transformations in the process. And it's really cool. It's really cool. This whole thing is really cool. It changes you. It changes the people around you. Changes your experiences. We were walking through the woods the other day with a friend of ours who we've been doing werewolf magic with for a couple of years now, off and on. The author of the book Werewolf Magic, in fact, Denny Sargent. And we're out in the middle of the woods, and we look over, and there's a wolf. There's a literal wolf in the park. We're walking our dogs, and it was a mix. It wasn't a full bred wolf, but it was pure white. And she was like 40% wolf or 38%. I don't know exactly what it was, but the owner was like, lives in Washington because the percent was just low enough to where it was okay to count as a dog here, but it would be a wild animal in California because it's different rules or whatever. I don't know exactly how it is, but she was like, it was a great big huge freaking dog, but at the same time it was very small for a wolf, and it turns out she was a runt. Anyway, that kind of thing, right? So how many times are you out with a bunch of people that you howl at the moon with on a full moon, and then you happen to just see a wolf at the park? It doesn't happen every day, and we got pictures. We got pictures. Anyway, but that's the thing, is like all kinds of high energy events happen, and it's just sort of normal. And it's not perfect, right? I mean, I still stress about things. I still get mad in traffic, and I feel like I have it the worst. I don't. I never do. I always have it great. But sometimes I feel awful. And it's just, I'm stuck in the brain that I have. I'm stuck with the life that I live, and as great as I am at some things, I'm really bad at a lot of other things, right? So it keeps you humble. But the process, the great work process, is so much. It adds meaning, it adds flavor, it adds control, harmony. It's great. It's the great work. It's not great because it's like the magnum opus. It's great because it's fucking great. Anyway, so yeah. As people transform, it's neat to watch, and it's not just me. It does help a lot of people. All right, and I was talking about this one friend who has sorted out so much, and it's just I get so excited to see people doing this, and it makes me do it more. All right, and the reason I keep coming on these shows and talking about all this stuff is because it changes lives. It changes lives for the better. It brings more light into people's lives, and it transforms them. It eliminates the sources of their crappy experiences one at a time in ways that make them able to positively impact other people in the world, right? Like it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. My wife is a sound healer, and she needed, as part of her training, she had to find volunteers to get healed or to participate in these healing sessions so that she could practice and get some before and after commentary and submit it as paperwork as part of her certification process. And it's she's been doing it for 2 years now, and she's almost got it completed. But there's this one client she had that was just the transformation that I saw in this person over like 3 sessions, like two sessions and maybe a half, right? But the fourth time that I saw her, I didn't recognize her. I thought it was someone else. She looked younger, happier, more vibrant and alive, right? And it turns out, if you read Agrippa, sound therapy is like one of the highest forms of magic, according to Agrippa, according to Pythagoras, right? You're manipulating the forces of creation directly with freaking bowls, with vibratory harmonics, right? Oh, and by the way, it turns out that the Kybalion is only wrong because there's no instructions, and there's no initiation, and there's no work behind it. It's just the fat with none of the meat, and it's crap because of that. But I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking that maybe if someone were to take the time and build that 7 spheres framework around something like the Kybalion, it might stop being it would still be a laughing stock among some people, but it might not be as useless as it is today. Anyway, changes lives, makes things better. It's really great. But anyway, sound therapy does this transformational thing. It's all about directing vibes, right? It really is all about directing vibes, and it's not just thinking good thoughts and lighting candles, and humming the right tones at the right times. It's not just that, right? It's knowing the secret words. It's knowing the right symbols. All right, that's what Hermetics teaches. If you read the Greek magical papyri, a ton of Hermetic magic right there, right? And the Hermetic system is you got to know the names of the gods, you got to know the secrets of the gods, right? And what they represent to be able to influence the gods. All right. And when you fast forward a few centuries, one of the things that Golden Dawn got right was that when you study Crowley's stuff anyway, he tells you that you dress your temple up in the colors and things that you find in the correspondence tables of 777. You dress up your temple in those colors and those images, and you create a vibration that's in a harmonic with the essence of the spirits that you're conjuring. Right. And this is just how it works. Crowley was right about that. He's a pretty smart fella, but honestly, he's not the only one that was ever right about it. And he could have been quoting Agrippa, not telling anyone. It would not be, I mean, I wouldn't put it, I cast aspersions on his name, I guess is what I'm saying. I shouldn't though, but I just think there's other ways that he could have done things. Anyway, Venus. So the point of these things is so that we can go through the cramming of the information into your limbic, right? As a magician, you're performing the great work. You got the vessel. The vessel is your life and your experiences. You're cramming it full of these planetary symbols and images. As you take these classes, today it's Venus. We're going to cram it all in there, right? And then you do an initiation ceremony where you read the Orphic hymn to Venus and you conjure the Archangel of Venus and you say, please initiate me into your sphere, release all the negative side of it and bring in the positive, purify me and connect me to my power, right? Remind me who I really am, free me from my lies and my ignorance. Let me harmonize with my power and teach me practical means to use it. Right? That's all that we're doing with initiation, right? And what it does is it comes into your life like a terrible, terrible wind and it blows. It blows. It totally blows. But it blows everything out of your life that you don't want, right? And it just whoosh, everything related to that sphere that is holding you back and stopping you from being able to express who you really are, from being in harmony with your true intent and the things that make you happy and pleased with yourself in life. Being confident, being joyful, being prosperous in everything you do, whether it's at the soup kitchen or at the Ritz-Carlton or whatever the heck, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're successful. You're successful, right? And that's what this does, right? It blows out the things that keep you from being successful, and it brings in the things that help you be more successful. And I'm not talking about money or relationships or sex or that power, respect. It's not about that. But when you seek first the kingdom of God, now when you actually go after your divine source, like everything else falls into place, because like a white light passing through a prism, becoming 7 rays of color, these individuations of that one principal power that manifest as these planetary powers, as we purify each of those 7ths of it, we become more pure as a whole. We raise the tincture of our sphere, right? If you take the alchemical metaphor for what we're doing, our lives are the alembic. The information, the lore of the planets is what we're cramming into it. And that initiation, the beginning, and when you initiate something, you're starting it off. The initiation into that sphere is the spark of flame that applies that steady heat that transforms everything in your limbic into the purest essence of what it is, passing it through each of the phases of the great work, right? It goes through the black phase where the impurities rise to the surface, the white phase where they evaporate, right? And then into the green phase where it goes through all the different colors of the peacock's tail until it turns into a solid color, right? And then once it's finished, it becomes the red stone, right? And that's that pure essence of it, right? It's the combination and the proper harmonies of the mercury and the salt and the sulfur, right? The active, the mental, and the emotional, right? Your head, heart, and hands. What you're doing is in harmony with your heart, and your mind is thinking for it. Is thinking for it. You're not in three different places at once. How can you be anywhere at all? You know, it's important to harmonize all this stuff, right? And that's what we're doing. That's what that limbic is for, right? So if you take this class, if you go through the Venus class and you watch the video and you learn all about Venus, and then you do this initiation and you ask for this initiation, it changes you. It changes you, and it creates in you a process that is not only transforming for you, but for your entire world and everybody in it. You know, it doesn't just impact you. You know, you think it does, right? Or I don't know, maybe you'd only care. For me, I only cared about how it was impacting me at first. But, you know, I've got a friend who's going through he went through a spiritual initiation that clarified his lens. And when he did, the light that he shone destroyed the dark edifices that he had been living in, that he had found a way to exist with. As the light became more pure, the structures around him crumbled, and because like mist exposed to the sunlight, the lies and the fog cannot hold. All right, fog is important, by the way. Fog, it's a liminal state. It's fear, obligation, and guilt. Fog. Those are the three tools of the narcissist, right? Fear, obligation, and guilt. And it's easy to think about all the times that you've been manipulated by fear, obligation, or guilt by narcissists in your life. But if you've been manipulated by narcissists in your life, the ugly truth is that you become a narcissist to deal with narcissists. Narcissists create narcissists. So if you've been manipulated by fog and the fear, obligation, and guilt, you'll know best when you see how you treat people. When you get people to do what you want, is it out of some kind of, oh, they owe you? You jokingly guilt them into it because that's what you learned. Is it obligation? Do you have a sense of duty that you hold other people to? That way it's not about you, it's about what's right, right? It's not about what's right, it's what you want. You just project it onto this righteousness. It's bullshit. It's just another stick that you're obliged, you owe me. Nobody owes anybody shit, you guys. You don't owe anybody shit, and nobody owes you shit. All right? We're all here just living. We all have to deal with it. It is what it is, you know, and it's not great, and it's harder for some people than others. I'm not saying that it's all fair. It's not all fair. But it would be if we all just had sticks and rocks. Be a much more fair world right away. Anyway, in my opinion. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, enlightenment. Yeah, sometimes with enlightenment comes a lot of anger, frustration with the unenlightened. God damn it, they're inconveniencing me. It's the worst. But anyway, narcissists use fog to manipulate people, and the best way to control that is through your own applications of those things. So fog is important. Fog creates liminal states, and it's in liminal states that minds can shift, right? And mostly people who use fog for nefarious purposes are usually victims themselves, but there's no excuse. There's no excuse for treating people poorly. Anyway, tangents. I'm all full of them today. Let's see. For me, your work has brought clarity and has been life-changing. You have my full trust and support. Oh, awesome, Corleone. I appreciate that. It's the absence of doubt. It's to know being calm and confident. Yeah, actually, I understood a lot more about that working with you and too. And as if you get into a thing where you like help other people, they help you too. They help you so much, and it's not a teacher thing. It's a co-creator thing. It's a vibe that you pick up and you learn from. Um, yeah. Anyway, uh, yeah. So the whole thing about all this stuff is about bringing more light to your life, right? And it comes with a cost. There's a lot of stuff that you lose, right? But you never lose anything that's important, and you never lose anything that's helpful. You know, at the end of the day, I still cling to things that are bad for me out of sentimental reasons, but I'm at a point where I recognize that participating with toxic person is going to have toxic result, and going into it robs them of that power, because I'm not doing it for me. I'm not doing it out of obligation or whatever. I'm doing it because I want to, right? Because there's something inside that person that I resonate with, that I want to save or support or whatever, call out, influence, that I hope for, right? Uh, but that's different than being involved in a toxic relationship with a narcissist. Going into a narcissistic zone to leave a care package of light, is different than allowing yourself to be subjugated to their crap. At least that's what I tell myself. I could just be attached to things that are painful, but I don't really care. It's part of the experience too. Um, so with Venus, I'm going to give you the bare bones stuff that you're going to need to do today uh, to do the initiation. The Venus initiations are important because Venus is the sphere of prosperity, right? It's the lesser benefic. It's not Jupiter, but it provides the benefits that come from people falling in love with you. Okay. When somebody loves you, they want to take care of you. They want you to be happy so that you smile at them and bring them pleasure, right? That's the bare essence of what Venus is about. It's about getting people to love you, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because you are actually valuable and worth being loved. A lot of people think that they have to manipulate other people into loving them, because they have really poor self-images. And the fact is that you're beautiful, and I'm beautiful, and it's all what it is, and what you want to have with someone is that Venus experience, that Venus vibe, right? When you're into that kind of thing, or when you're into the whole Venus side of things, um, it's not it's not a value thing. Anyway, that's one of the things you'd pick up on in this sphere. But the things of Venus, right? So attraction, it's about love and attraction, and the things that happen in your life when love and attraction are present, right? Being loved and being attractive to people. It's very, like, I'm a Taurus, right? So I'm ruled by Venus. It's very much like that. It's very much about that. It's about sex, right? It's about procreation, the actual creation of life between two people, right? Not necessarily male and female. So I think about that sometimes. Like, is it just Aphrodite? And to me, it's the Fascinus. The Fascinus was the phallus of Cronus that was cut off and fell into the ocean. Out of the foam, Aphrodite arose, right? She was the self-begotten Aphrodite. She's the self-manifested form of sexual attraction, right? The attraction uh, between any sexual entities. She is sexual attraction, and she was Aphrodite Orenos. She was Aphrodite of the sky. She was the sky god's reincarnation to an entire sect of Greeks who believed that she was the demiurge, right? Aphrodite Arania is the demiurge. If you look at the stories of Aphrodite, she is and she's the mother of 5 of Ares's children, right? She and Ares had a partnership. I talk about it in the class. They're together. They have 5 kids together, not just 1 or 2. You know, it's not like they had a tryst in their youth. They're parents together, raising 5 children who assist Ares, Mars, and his duties. You know, Phobos and Deimos. Those are the children of Aphrodite and Ares. You know, that's important. Eros, I think, was it Eros? I can't remember the other ones. Anyway, different myths have different children. But it's all in the class. But that aspect of her, that sexual union that she has, right, with oh, I'm sorry, back to Aphrodite Arrhenius, right? So that aspect of her that is the sky goddess, right? The goddess of the sky who became sexual attraction. That's the inheritor of the power of creation in the sects of pre-Socratic mystery traditions that included, but were not limited to, the Zeus cult that I'm trying to sort of base my Zeus cult on, that's revealed in the Derveni manuscript. That manuscript refers to Aphrodite Arrhenia as the same spirit that he was referring to as Zeus. The all in all, Zeus the head, Zeus the middle, Zeus the all in all, is the same spirit as Aphrodite Arrhenia. That spirit, that essence, that embodiment of the phallic force of creation of Cronus, of the sky god, the sky essence of creation, was passed into Aphrodite Arrhenia, right? The self-begotten of the sky. That's what her name means. Anyway, out of that foam also arose the Phascinus, the actual phallus of Cronus. It grew wings and a phallus of its own and little legs, and it flew up into the sky. And you can find in the 3rd century Rome, there's little tintinnabulum of the Phascinus talisman. And the phallic worship throughout history since then is the phallus shows up quite often. The winged phallus in particular was kind of popular in Pompeii. I sell Phascinus talismans, by the way, if you're interested. But that masculine, or not masculine, that generative force, it's not just masculine, by the way. It is totally about generation. And that generative force is also reflected and embodied by Aphrodite. And they're like different sides to the same coin. And I'm thinking about putting together a talisman that's literally her on one side and him, and that the Phascinus on the other, to represent the union of creation itself. And that's what they are. They're different aspects of that creative force that expressed the spirit of nature, right? So in the traditions of the theogony that I am partial to, it talks about how Gaia emanated Arrhenius in the first place, right? Arrhenius was an emanation of Gaia to fulfill the sexual need to create that she felt after Eros came into being, right? And necessity. Eros and necessity came into being at the same time. And when lust and necessity came into being, Gaia herself emanated Arrhenius to have sex with, because she wanted to fuck really bad right then. Right? And that's where the sky god and that generative force came from, and all the Titans were the result of that. Right? And when he refused to allow the Titans to be born out of the earth, that was when she brought the flint scythe to Cronus, Cronus, who cut off the penis of Arrhenius, right? And then that's what made him jump up into the sky, and the phallus fell into the ocean, and that's where we get Aphrodite Arrhenia and the Phascinus from, right? So those two forces together joined are an essence of Venus, right? So socially, it might be how you're attracted to, or how people are attracted to you, is an aspect of Venus, but also that cosmic procreative force of generation, the generative force, and how it manifests, and also the demiurgic generative force, right? Aphrodite Arrhenia is that generative force, the mind, the nous mind that shapes existence, right? It's important to remember that that's also one of the aspects of Venus. Um, yeah, but also in practical terms, that translates to creating like new processes, new projects, new productions. Anything that is productive, reproductive, generative that results in a physical manifestation includes that coming together of the essential parts that result in the creation of a self-willed, self-aware, self-belonging entity that operates on its own going forward, separate from the mother that had it, right? That magical child is created every time you have sex, every time you have an orgasm, every time you experience that expression of sexualness, right? Every flirtation that you have is a manifestation of that. Every time that you feel attracted or attractive, both of those things are aspects of that power, right? That's the power of creation, and that's how it feels. That's how it feels to create. In that moment of initiation, that initiatory moment is an ecstatic moment, right? And ecstasis is a hermetic teaching in the Orphic hymn. In the Orphic hymn to Mercury, it talks about how he is the god of who teaches the mysteries of ecstasy, and that can be that could be referring to pharmacopoeia, right? The actual drug usage of the time that fueled most of the mystery cults, apparently, or it could be something else. I don't know. All right, 5 o'clock. All right, where are we at? Okay. All right. So, what was the other thing about Venus I wanted to talk about? Grace, right? So she brings grace and respect, and stuff like that. If you look at her talismans in the Key of Solomon, but also just sex, love, and the love of others. There's one talisman that claims to do coercive magic. I will tell you straight up, I have been paid to make that talisman for people and to use it on their behalf. And every reading I did said, go for it, whatever. Of course, my ethical projections were not happening, I'm sure, but they never worked. They have never worked. I've never seen them work. I know people who do them all the time. They don't work, and I'm going to have people say, yes, they do. I use it, and I sell it, by the way, and you can buy it from me, and it works. They're lying to you, I say. Okay? I don't think that they know what the fuck they're talking about. All right? I just don't think it works. All right? I think that coercive love magic is always bullshit, and it's always a failure. And it doesn't mean you can't be cursed by your ex to be obsessed with them, right? I've seen that work on people. Okay? You can be obsessed, but most of the people. All right, wait a minute. How does this work? Let me think about it, because I have done. I know people who were obsessed with someone who, after doing an exorcism, were relieved of it, right? So they were obviously obsessed with spirits. Probably, it was probably one of those Saturn. It's probably one of those Saturn talisman kind of things, and not Venus, because Venus doesn't. I don't think Venus can make you obsessed with someone. I mean, she obsesses monsters, though, so I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But what I do know, let me tell you. Anyway, Venus, whether or not the coercive Venus magic talismans are effective, I don't think they are. I can think of more things that have. The thing is, I can think of clients who have come to me who were obsessed with someone that an exorcism cured, and I can think of. I know victims of what looks like love magic, and I know casters of what looks like love magic, and the casters of love magic have always failed, but the victims of what looks like love magic have been successful. But it always manifests as something that could be explained as a Saturn manifestation. So I think that's kind of interesting. Speculation here. I'm not quoting any Agrippa, and I'm not using anything. It's like AI. It's RI, right? Rufus intelligence. I'm thinking out loud is what it is. Take it with grains of salt. Um, but yeah. So yeah. So love, but also the things that have been most effective that I've seen are the second pinnacle of Venus and the first pinnacle of Venus, which commands the spirits of Venus, and the kind of magic that brings you good friendships, good relationships socially, good respect among your peers, good peers to have as peers, the removal of those who would do you harm. It's a very interesting way that the ravens of dispersion is what they're called in the Kabbalistic systems. But the way that the ravens of dispersions manifest, they are the negative spirits of Venus that will take away all the good things in a person's life if they're being corrupted by Venus. And people who try to use Venus against you in malevolent ways, and there are people who do that, will inevitably find the ravens of dispersion tearing them apart, right? But they also work in your favor when you're in harmony with Venus, and there are corrupt people trying to bring their corruption and have it bring disharmony to your life. One of the ways that Venus protects you is through dealing with that. So anyway, different ways to work with Venus practically. It boils down to socially being accepted, being appreciated, and being loved, right? And it's nice to have that happen in your own lifetime, but it doesn't happen to everyone. Yeah. So, sorry, I had a rough week with clients, and this client knows who I'm talking about, and it's okay for me to talk about this. But they have and by the way, in case you're one of my clients, I'm not talking about you unless you automatically know I'm talking about you, because we've already agreed that I could say this. If you haven't agreed for me to say this, I'm not talking about you, because I know some of my clients might think that I'm talking about them. I'm not. But yeah. So the thing is he's got a really negative chart, and like his chart is not fun, and it generally presents lots of opportunities for challenges and growth, and we're finding ways to bring harmonies to those discords in his life that are bearable to start with. Anyway, it's a process. But it's like peeling an onion. There's a lot of tears involved, but eventually you get down to it. And like I said, you never lose anything that you really need to keep. But the most effective methods of working with Venus magic is probably through the second pinnacle and the first pinnacles of Venus from the Key of Solomon. The first pinnacle teaches you the four names of the spirits: Nogaliel, Nangariel, Jacoia, something like that, and Akelia. These are the talismans from Joseph Peterson's site. I don't know if those are still the talismans he has up. He's always updating his site with stuff, but at the time that I took the screenshots, that was what it was from, because he had the best representations of them, and also because they are not perfect. You can see that these are hand-drawn things, and for many years I did Dremel tool talismans. Not as good as some of the ones I see online these days. There's a guy, I think his name is Ruben. He comments on my stuff every once in a while, and he does Dremel tooled talismans that are by hand, and he doesn't think they're great, but I think they're just incredible. But I use a laser these days because it's fun and it's neat. But I used to use a Dremel tool on my stuff. I have one in my pocket I was going to show you, but it's just shaky lines, and it doesn't look great. These days, I had Adeline recreate a lot of the talismans from the Key of Solomon for me, and some of the other images from the grimoires digitally, so I could use those without copyright infringement. And the oh, my poor puppy. and I just digitize them and I use them on the laser, and I'm able to engrave metal with that. So like I've got these are talismans I just kind of came up with. These are like a little necklace, Venus Victrix, and that's actually that's the she's the I'm just gonna show it off because I can. What is that? Oh, that's my that's YouTube. I was like, why is there so? Okay, sorry about that. Under talismans. So this is one practical method of applying this stuff. This is the so here's the Venus Vasquinus talisman, right? And that's there's like a necklace version of it, and then I made this Venus Victrix talisman. So those two together represent those forces I was talking about earlier. The phallic force that is the image of Uranus's phallus that was cut off by Cronus, and then Aphrodite. And here she's depicted with the armor. This is no, it's Aphrodite Ariana, I think is how you say it. Aphrodite Ariana, and it means Aphrodite arrayed for war, and it just shows her with the helmet and her shield and her spear. And then on the shield itself, I put the second pinnacle of Venus, and then like down here, you can barely see it, but it's laser engraved there in very fine detail. And then on the back of it, it has the first pinnacle of Venus. Let's see, yeah, you can see both of them there, both sides of it. I can't get it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry, I'm not really used to this. But anyway, this is the yeah, that's the back of it. And that's the front of it. But this is how big they are. I don't want it to seem like they're like super huge or anything. They're just really super detailed. Anyway, so they're like the size of a little necklace. They're all consecrated, engraved in the Venus flower. But that's like the easiest way, I think, to work with these things. Yeah. So let me go back to the Venus class here. All right. So yeah. So Venus. When you work with these pinnacles, what you do is you basically like you carry them around. You wear them around your neck. You carry them in your pocket. I have a little silk bag I keep all my talismans in, and you take them out and with you where you go, and it's basically an area effect, I guess. And you can get the basically it just kind of helps things go your way. It gives you a sense of confidence, a sense of what I consider metis these days, a sense of awareness of how you interact with other people in pleasing ways, and not in a manipulative way, but just in a very fun, kind of easygoing way, because you understand that everything is sort of a reflection of itself on itself. Having a good time and having a good time together is what we're it's okay to do that, and finding people who want to vibe with you is very easy if you just are looking to vibe with people, and not to get more than that or less than that or whatever. If you're just kind of in the moment and having a good time, it really is that you project out what you get back to yourself. And it's a matter of being in tune with yourself, and really being in tune with yourself, and knowing what you are and what you want to be when you grow up. You know what I mean? Not that. Where's my... Go back here for a second. I show this too much. I don't care though. Oh, you know what? I forgot I had that collapsed. I'm like, where's my pictures? Here. Yeah, so that's what they're talking about. When I say you get back what you project out, Agrippa says it, how all things may be fitted for all things in their time, place, order, measure, proportion, and harmony, and can draw and bring to themselves even as a lodestone draws iron. Right, so that's the way Agrippa put it. But basically it means what you vibe into yourself, man, is like what you vibe into being. And it's true, and these initiations are what do it for you. Okay, so going back to our teaching things, and I'm almost done here. So those are the four spirits. So the four spirits of Venus are a quick and easy way to call on their assistance. I also use this little aluminum card things. You can fit them in your wallet, but it's got the names of all the spirits on the back, right? So like I've got all the 4 spirits of each of the talismans here. So like for here, like I don't have it. I was upside down. Sorry. I don't have my cheaters on. And these days I have to wear my ancient old man glasses. All right, so yeah, so like you just find Venus, and it's Nagali, Alakalia, Sokotia, and Ningariel, right? And you can just call on them to help you with whatever situation you might be in. And what kind of situations would you need to call on them in to really know what it's like? You can go through the class. Here's all the details for all that stuff. But cheat sheet to understanding Venus is, where is it? The Orphic Hymn. It's the Orphic Hymn. Where the fuck I put it? Do I not have the Orphic Hymn in here? Here it is, page 13. Here it is. All right, it's the Orphic Hymn to Venus. All right, so it's not long. Heavenly, Urania, illustrious, laughter-loving queen, sea-born, night-loving of an awful mean. This describes everything you need to know about what you can get out of working with Venus. The mysteries that you're going to understand at a deeper level as you get initiated into her sphere are described in detail in the images and the vibrations that come with saying this out loud, repeating it on a Friday morning, on a Friday day, in front of yourself and all the gods that come to bear witness. Saying this out loud results in creating a vibe that draws to you the very essence of Venus herself, Aphrodite Urania, who exists everywhere that the sky exists, comes present to you when she hears her own hymn being sung, right? Because she understands that you're calling out to her, and she vibes with that, and she comes into being in your existence around you. And with the clever application of hermetics, you can also contact the intelligence of her sphere, right? And you have the essence of her goddessness right there with you. And here you can find on Venus the name of the archangel and the seal by which they'll appear, right? So here's Anael, and this is from the magical calendar of Tycho Brahe, right? And here's Anael, and you can call on Anael as the intellect of that sphere, the that aspect of Venus that can put into words the essence of her powers, right? So if you experience the goddess, you're going to have an incredible experience. You cannot look upon the gods and live, right? So what we experience is a filtered version of them that is ecstatic and divine and mysterious and beyond words, right? That's the divine power. It is a raw vibration. It is an essential entity beyond entities. You know, people say, oh, I talked to Venus the other night and she said, oh, yeah, you did not. You talked to an aspect of Venus that was able to communicate to you that aspect of that vibe, but the goddess wasn't there. She don't talk like that. Know thyself. Recognize thyself in thy projections onto this divine essence and throw that shit away. Because they're so much better than we can imagine in real life. It's an ecstatic experience. Anyway, embrace that. But the intellectual side of it, the Anael, is who you want to talk to. And you can project whatever personality you want to onto Anael. I don't care. Or whatever. If you want to deal with this goddess, this Aphrodite who's sassy and everything and just happens to be all the coolest parts of what you would want Aphrodite to be, whatever. Perfect. Have fun. But the way I do it is different. I talk to Anael about things that if I need words around, if I'm trying to actually piece together, like if the client has a problem in their private life that they need discussed, I will discuss it with them, with the Anael, and I will say, help me put it into words, right? Because I don't know what the fuck is wrong with this person, right? Help me just get to the point and just blunt it out and not worry about it. And I'm able to do that more times than not. And it's not a problem. It hasn't been weird or anything. It was kind of interesting. But Yeah. So anyway, Anael is the aspect of the spirit of that essence that can communicate with you directly and help you communicate things of Venus to others. Um, okay, and this is for all the other entities and all the other spheres too. But you're only looking to look at. Don't look at the other ones unless you're on that chapter. Anyway, and then you put that together with these four spirits and the four spirits on the pinnacles. I believe, and what I teach is that the two spirits that end in IEL are the active aspects of the force of Venus, and the two spirits that end in IAH are the passive aspects of that. So they like raise the prayers up. Passive goes up on the ladder of Jacob. If you think of Jacob's ladder in the Bible, it showed angels going up and down at the same time. IAH angels go up, IEL angels go down, and together they represent the essence of that angelic force, uh, exchanging between the above and the below. That which is above is like that which is below, and that which is below is like that which is above. And the essence of entities that go between are the messengers, and the messengers are the angeloi and the daimones, right? And they are our spirits. They are the breath, right? Every word for all of these ghosts and invisible entities, our invisible friends, always goes back to breath. Like in every culture, daimones, angelos, angels, all those things, right? It all means breath. Ruach. It's ridiculous. Spirit. Spirit. It goes back to spit it out, man. Express yourself. Anyway, it's funny how it all sounds the same. Yeah, so these four spirits, the IEL ones are the active aspect, and the IAH ones are the ones that take you up. So initiatory experiences, and you want to petition the gods for things, IAH angels. You want to do active manifestations of Venus in this material world, IEL angels, right? If you want to express things, IEL angels, right? If you want to take in things, IAH angels. If you need to observe the politics of a situation, right? Who has the grace and favor of Venus in this room right now? Who's the most favored outcome in this race? Who do people think are going to win this election the most? If you're a gambler, these are all kind of inputs that you can put together to come out with a successful, prosperous series of bets if it's based on that kind of thing. You can look at these different aspects of things and read a room, because you understand intuitively what's going on with it. And you don't have to put it all into words, but when you've been working with the intellect, and if you've worked with Anael enough, then you're able to. You're able to put it into the prefrontal cortex from amygdala area, or wherever those little quantum vacuole tubes in our brains exist. I think it's back in here. Feels like it sometimes when I'm reading those articles. Do you guys do that? Do you read articles about consciousness and then you feel like there's like something looking out at your brain? It's like, yeah, that's sort of like, yeah, it's close. They're getting there. I feel like that sometimes. Anyway, so the four spirits, the archangel, and the goddess. Those are the three things that I teach that are all you need to do anything of any planet, right? And that's what these pages are all about. It's the Orphic hymn, the four spirits, and the archangels. And with the power of those things in the conjuration script, I call on all three of those things. It's a very powerful experience. I've been doing rituals for people on their behalf, with them in their presence, through hypnosis even. It's been incredibly effective. It's been really neat to see the transformation in their lives and the outcomes as they come into being. So anyway, that's basically all I wanted to say about Venus. I've covered the practical applications, the spiritual experiences of it, the lore, the informational aspect of it, the part that feeds your mind. It's in all these tables. It's a summary of all the information that you can find on Esoteric Archives as a source of a lot of it. It's not just copy and pasted. There's a lot of commentary on it. There's a lot of re-expression of things in ways that make it harmonious with the overall Rufus Opus approach to the great work. And all the epithets, that's all from
different resources on the web, and it's a conglomeration of a lot of things. I am very grateful for all of the stuff that I've received it from. It's a useful shortcut to understanding all of the essence of these things. And after you've read through this stuff and watched the video, I feel confident that you would be able to perform the initiation, which is again the speaking of the Orphic hymn, the asking of the goddess Aphrodite to send her archangel Anael, and then asking him, or even saying, and also the four spirits, Nogaliel, what were they? Shit, I almost see them. Here we go. Nogaliel, Ningariel, Yakodia, and Akelia, right? Those are the four spirits. And you call on all of those things and you ask them to initiate you. Initiate me into your sphere. Release me from the negative aspects of it that keep me from seeing it in my daily life. Encourage the growth of that understanding of that power in my life as I go forward. That's all you're asking for. That's an initiation. You're asking the spirits to do it. Rufus isn't doing it. You know, you're not going to get imprinted by some lodge egregore. You know, you're not going to have weird things added onto you. You know, it's just spirits introducing you to that raw essence. And just like Agrippa teaches, just like Pythagoras taught, just like you can experience at a music shop that where all the guitars are tuned to the same note. If you hum a G, if you play a G note, all the guitars will that are tuned right will vibrate with it. It's resonance. We do the initiation, and what it does is it draws this essence of that power of that sphere into your presence, and you respond to it. That's all it is. The initiation is the creation of a vibration in you that matches the vibration of the initiation. That's all it is. You're coming into harmony with your essence, and all the crap that's around it is falling away. And you're understanding yourself and you're seeing yourself as you are seen. You're returning to awareness of that power that resonates with Venus that you were bestowed with as part of your creation process. You're coming back into terms of it. You're cleansing that lens so that you can see it and transmit it clearly without all the aspects of personality and obligation or programming or manipulation. Without the context of all of that, you get to see the power of Venus as it passes through you into this world and how you respond to it. And that's what this initiation brings. And it's not me and it's not anything like that. It's just the power of the sphere and you responding to it. Bong. Right? That's what this is. And it's simple and you can do it yourself, right? On a Friday for Venus Day, you know, all the other spheres, right? Up through the 7 spheres, start in the moon, do them every other day, start on a Monday, right? We're going through it, right? It's tomorrow is the first Monday of a new moon, right? After of a waxing moon. So over the next 14 days, you can go through the 7 spheres and watch it manifest, you know, and it could be an interesting experiment, you know. It could be empowering and it can be life-changing, right? But it's something we can all do, and it takes less than 10 minutes. If you want a full script for it, conjuration class. Scroll down here and just click on conjuration class, and under materials for this one, workbook. Where is it? Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. All right, here's the short form of the conjure script, right? So it just has the conjuration of that essential deity, right? Talks about him a bit, talks about who he is and how he interacts with the world through us as us, right? Calls on your HGA, who's with you at all times, according to Abramelin. It's in the room with you right now. And then the intelligences of the planets, Archangel, right? And then the planet name. You could call him Zeus of that planet name. I don't even have the Archangel. I don't. Oh, here it is, Archangel. I don't have the four spirits on this one. Oh, I don't think I was working with the four spirits as much when I wrote this. I should rewrite it. Add the four spirits. It adds a physical touch to everything. Super cool to do that. I gotta recommend it as much as possible. So back to the Venus. Here it is. These four spirits. Make you a copy of this in a Venus hour on a Venus day, and ask these four spirits to bless and consecrate it for you. Ask Venus to do the Venus Orphic hymn, and call on Anael by his name and his seal, and ask them to bless your seal, right? And then use that in your conjuration class here. This where is it? Conjure script. When you get to the intelligence of a planet, right? You call upon Anael by your name and seal, upon the mighty shoulders of Zeus did he cause to grow forth all the gods and goddesses, the forces of the planets which now form this realm according to the manifestation of his will. You, O intelligence of Venus, Zeus of the planet Venus, I call upon you to appear and bear witness. Not let any word uttered fall to the ground without bearing fruit. So, planet named Venus. You, O Anael, Archangel of Venus, you, O, and the four spirits of the pinnacles of Venus, and then say the four names. By your names and your seals I call upon you to bear witness, to appear and bear witness, let not any word uttered fall to the ground without being free. So like right in here, add the four spirits. Definitely changes everything. All right, and then wrap things up, and that's your whole thing, and you'll be done in 10-15 minutes and change your world. All right, guys, I gotta jump. Have a great evening.